He kōna ipurangi tēnei nā te reo irirangi o Aotearoa.
Kia ora whānau, just a heads up before we get into it. This episode of Orators Anonymous contains mature themes and some spicy language, so listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Orators Anonymous, a new Māori Pacifica queer-coded podcast brought to you by Whike Fortress Gallery, streamed weekly on Twitch channel Rev TV, hosted by Coco, Manu and Mush. The theme this week, Live, Love, Land Back, Indigenous reclamation, repatriation and reclamation for the modern girl. Welcome to Orators Anonymous.
Woo!
Yay!
Yay! Welcome back.
We are on episode 4. Greetings, listeners, streamers, viewers, whānau out there. Welcome. Tonight, our thematic kaupapa is Live, Love, Land Back.
Love, land back. Live, love, land back.
We are talking about the returning and restoration of land, reparations, repatriation, living on the whenua, yes. But what does land back really mean? More as a decolonial mentality. Restorative justice, utu, not being extractive and transactional in your relationships. Let's find out.
Well,
let's find out.
And before we begin, here's Mush with some messages and disclaimers.
Here's some messages. Let's go. The views and opinions expressed during this live stream are the views of Orators Anonymous alone and do not represent any affiliated organization. Content and critique is presented for entertainment and informational purposes only. Also, to our own communities, we do not claim to be cultural authorities. The information shared is for storytelling and educational purposes only. Interpretations are offered in good faith and should not be taken as definitive or authoritative.
So if we're whia poko, let it go.
Yeah.
For those who are just joining us for the first time, Orators Anonymous is a podcast for our Māori Pacifica queer fam and Aotearoa, Indigenous misfits and insufferable bookworms across the Pacific and around the world. Have a laugh with the girls.
Yeah, have a gata.
This week we're getting into our kaupapa, Live, Love, Land Back. Land Back is futurism and manifesting what is rightfully yours. So we're going to share stories from girls in our community who have actually committed to living on their whenua and unpack small ways that these concepts can be a part of our daily lives or the way they already are. That's mana motu hake, tino rangatiratanga, Samoa mo Samoa, matamaatonga, you name it. So, when you hear land back, how do you feel?
I feel like one thing positive, obviously positive, it feels also at the same time really scary, really spooky, considering the times that we're living in. And kind of that thing of like trying to do the micro land back to achieve the macro land back.
Because it seems so intimidating, a task in this kind of climate, or?
I think it's because what we're seeing is like the old world, or at least the current system that we're living under, experience a collapse. And so it's that thing of like you're watching them do like that zero sum thing where like they're gonna take everyone with them and they're gonna destroy everything.
And
Exactly.
the whole kind of psyche requires a radical hope, a radical trust.
Yeah.
That is kind of at odds with the messaging.
With the messaging that we're constantly getting.
Yeah.
So when you hear land back, what do you think?
I
What's the feels that hit you?
Yeah, I think I feel first, and then I kind of reflect and think about how I'm feeling. I feel really melancholic, but like an intergenerational melancholic, and like kind of like that we've been on this kaupapa for so long and but it's also this melancholy in which I'm able to connect. So then it's kind of like a not double-edged sword, but then it's like feeling really sad, but then meeting people in their sadness. But then in that then equals the joy and the hope.
Yeah.
Because we're both like, fuck, da, 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 da. But our ancestors and our tupuna literally prayed for us to be here.
To be able to execute.
Be able to execute their hopes and their dreams. And so we must continue or carry on. So I think I feel sadness first. And one in which connects and empathizes with.
And then determination.
But I think about the timeless battle between good and evil. I think about that tale as old as time, and how it's just staring at us in the face. And some people choose the side in which they want to be on.
Yeah. And like people can define what's possible and not possible, and we're constantly at odds at what is possible.
And so many people are deeming a lot of things impossible.
Yeah, where's the imagination?
It's that.
Where's the goal? Where's the
Imagination.
grit?
Where's
That's
the grit?
it.
And it's actually a big lack of imagination. And
that's where we come in.
that's
right?
where we come in.
Little girls.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about a 2022 essay from High Country News. It's a site in the US. This essay I've long loved. It's called Questions About the Land Back Movement Answered. Number 1, why are Indians spray painting my Starbucks? This piece is written by journalist Toasty Oster. They're a citizen of the Choctaw Nation of Oklahoma. And Toasty focuses on Indigenous affairs, environmental justice, and the impacts of colonialism in the American West mostly. So I'm going to read out some excerpts that I love from the essay, and we can have a kōrero. They start by saying, the land back movement is less about a mass real estate transaction than it is about sovereignty, recognition of treaties, and ultimately the abolition of the United States concept of real estate altogether. From many traditional Indigenous points of view, land ownership is an illusion, no more possible than the ownership of a rainbow. Land ownership is simply a legal concept, one that keeps wealth and power in white families. Think of it this way. As a landowner, what you really own is a title. That's just a piece of paper. But the courts will recognize that paper in case of any dispute. And what's more, they'll enforce it through police violence. So-called landowners may have access to violent state force, but they still don't really own the land. Don't take it too hard, though. Nobody owns rainbows either. Many Indigenous civilizations recognize private property in the form of houses and personal belongings, yes, but land itself remained communal. Yeah. So they're kind of talking about the whole concept is kind of stupid, you know?
Yeah.
Trying to get land back when we don't actually possess the land. We don't. It isn't ours to necessarily own. It was never theirs to take because it's papatua nuku, right? Yeah, it's whakaro.
Public domain, baby. The land belongs to all, baby.
Free the land, baby.
Just like how the water belongs to all, you know. I've been thinking about this idea of like, and we just brought it up, you know, like imagination and that whole thing of like subscribing to the imagination of these systems. Right. And I forgot where I heard it from, but somebody had like said something in a video or something I was watching, and they were saying like, you know, like whose imagination do we reside in? Like, really think about it. And I was like, oh my God, we are living in the white man's imagination. Get me out. Get me out of here. Get me out of here. Right.
How banal.
It's boring. And the banality of the destruction of everything for something, for like the kind of mental or the mental imagination of something like wealth, money. It's like, honey, you're gonna destroy the world.
Is that all there is?
Like over like a system that you built, like the economy that you built. Like, honey, bro, that's so boring, girl.
It also really makes me think about you had shared with me actually, Coco, in regards to everything in this world is a narrative. Like every single thing in this world is a narrative. and
Everything we see is comprised of a story
Of a
someone
story.
Yeah.
told once.
Exactly. And it's like we're currently living in this white man's story.
And that's why they're so divorced from, or at least like what I find interesting, and like I found this when I went to art school, white people want to divorce themselves so much from narrative.
That's so true.
And they're always trying to turn things into abstractions
Abstraction,
and concepts.
concept calculation,
it's
and
like-
that transcendental thing, and almost feel like anything that is connected deeply to narrative or the whakapapa of a narrative, it's kind of like, beneath it.
It's beneath it. And I think they're trying to hide an ugly truth.
Oh yeah. Which is so like interesting because like in terms of land back narratives and narratives of Indigenous peoples, everything has a narrative and everything has a story because everything is relational.
Yeah, and
And-
everything comes back to whakapapa in the end.
Exactly.
Like you have all of the knowledge systems kind of like contained within those things.
That's it. What did Kamala say? You think you were... I'm trying to remember.
Fell out of a coconut tree. You
You
exist.
in the context of all that there was and all that will be.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think I also had read a similar quote as well, and it was talking about that the death of humanity is our lack of imagination.
It's our lack of imagination. Oh, also to the people who are out there who keep thinking to yourselves that humans are inherently selfish.
Ooh,
inherently, I hate that shit.
hate that.
I think it's a really, really white thing. And also the signs of humans like civilization, like in earlier hunter-gatherer societies, was they had found a body pre-common times, prehistoric times, and it was of a child, and they had a mended bone. I forgot it was in their leg, but the bone was mended, and pretty much the scholars were saying that's how they knew that societies were starting to form because people were being compassionate to one another.
Wow, yeah.
And mending each
And
other's
mending each other.
injuries.
And that's such another narrative we're constantly believing is that humanity is inherently evil.
Which is why everyone's so prepared to let the world die, because they believe that we are inherently doomed to our own like malice and malignance. And I was like, we're not malice and we're not malignance.
And I even think with the kind of provocation of we're living inside the imagination of that kind of limited thinking, that colonial thinking, like I am always happy when we are not. When we find a way to be like, I ain't staying here.
Yeah.
You know, and we get our belongings, biologists grab our handbag and be like, I ain't staying, you can stay in here.
That's-
we have to kind of build our own cosmology. We have to kind of create our own sense of grounding.
And that's built into the whakapapa of Wheke Fortress. Wheke Fortress has done a lot of that really anti-imagination work.
Yeah, I think Indigenous people in general, that is such a part of how we live. We have to have some kind of constitution within us that, which is why we talk about land back is not necessarily that literal. It is a psychic kind of, If I think of another part of the essay, Toasty Oster also writes, for the second question that someone might ask about land back when they're getting uncomfortable, well, wouldn't that mean white people would have to go back to Europe? No, land back is not a call for revenge. The white Westerners fear that the other will rob, dispossess, subjugate, and otherwise violate them is a core fear of the colonial mindset, one that is often expressed through dystopian science fiction. It's a projection based on the foreign doctrine that all humans are evil. Christian Europeans brought with them the idea of original sin based on Adam and Eve's shenanigans in the biblical creation story. If all humans are sinners by that definition, the thinking goes, then everybody is just as evil as Western colonizers. So we'd better protect our stolen private property before somebody else inevitably tries to steal it. But it's not inevitable because that's not our psychology.
That's not our psychology.
It's that-
It's like the whole thing of like, well, what do you want me to do? It's like, that's your projection. We would like to communally live on the land and look after each other. That's where this whole argument is coming from.
Yeah.
It makes me think of, is it Lord of the Sandflies?
Lord of the Flies.
Lord of the
Fuck, I hate
Flies.
that fucking book.
Like, literally, and then, like,
Lord of the Fruit Flies.
Lord of the Fruit Flies. But then, like, yeah, how the whole story, you know, it's like, the premise is like, you know, these boys who are like,
Who are
castaways.
on an
And then they
island.
just like try to like eat it, you know, they just cause havoc. But then the reality is it was based on these Tongan kind of boys who had, and the way in which they actually depended and survived
was
with each
super
other.
egalitarian.
And super egalitarian.
And harmonious.
And harmonious.
And
they
and
like.
compassionate.
And it
So
was,
do you think that was propaganda of, you know, the kind of societal colonial construct of if you don't have these things, all hell breaks loose? But in actuality, the Indigenous model was, no, it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. And I truly do think that Lord of the Flies is more so a reflection of like 19th century or 20th century like British society.
Oh, yeah.
And how they self-cannibalize and so on and so forth.
And of course, we're not romanticizing Indigenous kind of power dynamics. We all know that things can get pretty wacky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Babe, I'm a Tongan. I exist as a Tongan under a neo-feudal system, but that's a story for another time.
Another time. All of this to say that we're familiar with chaos, but it's a different kind, right?
It's a different kind, and I think, you know, I was recently in Tonga last May for my nan's tangi, and the way that the entire village gets involved in kind of the workings of big kind of events like that. And I was thinking about the neighbors of our entire block, how everyone took something on and just did it. And then came to like decorate the house or came to like deliver the food or came to do this, X, Y, Z. And that thing that we're really conditioned to here, where it's like, community is impossible. Trust is a fool's game. What's it all about? Our fear. Is it just
kind of anti-community propaganda.
anti-community propaganda? And I think that's like the biggest thing, at least for me, when it comes up to land back, is that actually like
Debunking that propaganda.
Debunking that propaganda.
And
I think also, something that really held me down as well is identity propaganda too. And I can really be, I feel like once I feel like I had a lot of things that were contesting in terms of who I am and my identity, being like of the diaspora. But then on the other end of that, I felt like it robbed me of my time of doing the actual work.
dead ass.
And so I kind of feel like, is this a propaganda that I'm like in as well? Like this whole identity kind of confusion, as opposed to really standing in my identity in a really grounded way in this narrative of who I am.
Because we were talking about land back of the mind, just earlier, and you were saying for you, with Tongan concepts around it, so much of it is psychic.
Super psychic, super heady.
Yeah.
And it's just because the politic, you know, like we were the only kind of power structure in the Pacific that willingly gave up our traditions. And it was all like a ploy to keep the land in Tongan hands. But it was kind of that thing where like we got to keep the land, but we sacrificed our minds. And we gave everything away.
And that tension, I think, is like, global.
Yeah.
Everybody having to really fight for the literal and the figurative.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Like, and obviously, like, the context here is that, like, there were on-the-ground massacres, confiscations, like, and so the discussion around land back looks different here. And then in Samoa, you had, like, the Mau
The Mau
movement.
movement.
Like,
And then similarly, like I think that we did get our independence, but in a similar way, kind of traded our minds and our faith
For
and
organised religion?
for organized religion, and gave up our old gods and our narratives for this organized religion.
yeah.
Because you'd been looking into Turtle Island as well, right?
Yes, yeah. So Turtle Island, and the belief in terms of the creation story, is that in this lifetime, that the male ego is inflated.
Oh. Yes.
And the way that they use that is they use the imagery of like this mammoth and this turtle. And it talks about how the male ego is inflated. And in this lifetime, our soul's mission is to deflate the ego and to kind of and to kind of gill that va, and to there to be harmony between the masc and the femme. And actually makes me think about the stories in which you've shared, Manu, about hikuleo. And, and that kind of, that relationship.
That relationship.
It makes me think about the sacred relationship in va and Samoan culture that we have with brother and sister, and how that va is very paramount in how we move.
Yeah.
So I think about that relationality from like in the embodied as well as the timeless. But
What do
yeah.
you think in terms of like hikuleo and how that kind of ties to what Moshe's saying?
Yeah, I mean, it's this weird thing where, like, inherently in our cosmology, the world is a woman's world.
Yeah.
There's no creation myth for women. Women have kind of always existed, and that's like, that's the be all end all.
Default setting.
They were the default setting, and kind of Hikuleo, the elder sister to Tangaloa and Maui, was like the firstborn child of like the old gods, Taufuli Whenua and Havealolo Whenua. She was given Tonga Mama'o. Her brothers took it from her. They bound her to Puloto. And kind of the whole kind of ritual culture in and around Tonga is dedicated to venerating Hikuleo via the kind of worship and upholding of the mana of your very oldest sister. And in every single family, your very oldest sister becomes the handmaiden of Hikuleo. And so by appeasing your very oldest sister and by appeasing your fahu, you are staving off the end of the world because you're honoring the divine feminine. Obviously, we're not
I
doing
hope
that
my little
enough.
sisters. Hope my little sisters are watching tonight. Hello to all of my younger siblings. Hope you're doing
Obviously,
well.
that's not happening much. Like the girlies aren't out here for their older sisters and their sisters, period, like that, because the world is on fire.
I have been watching on Instagram for a while a really cool account called Hokianga Auntie.
Yeah.
And this week I took the chance to reach out to them because of this episode we were doing. They are called Leaf, total cutie. We've been in the DMs. And one of the reasons I reached out was because they document, warts and all, their journey back to living on the whenua. Leaf is born and raised in GI hard, 3 generations deep. They whakapapa to Aitutaki, Te Rarawa, and Ngā Puhi, Hokianga whakapapa. And they started documenting and just sharing content, not romanticizing anything, just talking about the harsher aspects of what it's like to do. So I was just like, yo, you want to share anything that you think might be helpful, because this is not a fantasy. We need to have like actual data and like experiences of people in our community who are actually doing this mahi. So Leif has very generously written a kōrero, and I'll read some excerpts from it. They begin saying, in Matariki 2021, poor, sad, leaving a toxic relationship and living alone with my kids in Wellington, I began to breathe life into a dream to return home by writing my 5-year plan. This was a simple and broad plan, kind of like a wish list of all the things I didn't have, which was community, mātauranga, dirt, and whānau. Leif goes on to write, the genesis of my land back journey began the moment I was born and raised away from my whenua. Think about it. When an uri comes into the world, the most powerful thing we can do is be on the whenua. But what does it look like when there is no whenua, when there is no whānau? Our placenta is not returned. Our tai te whenua becomes like a tether that remains connected to us and retracts us home the further we are away from it. Like one of those pulley office clip tags or pull-back toy cars. Although we are far from the whenua will always want us back. As I write this, I cry. I feel my tether to whenua begin to tighten and pull me home. Like a weight in my chest, a deep ancestral calling to be of service, to embody and fulfill all of my ancestors dreamed for me and their mokopuna. To befriend our taio and the children on the same side, I feel the immense reality and difficulty to be able to do this. When we return home to the Hokianga, we return to a small patch of dirt. We return to a generation that sees no value in us being there because the city is the best place to raise kids. Or, your old man is too old to change his ways. We return to beer bottles, leaky roofs, and although these things should never be a deterrent, they are in real life, that no one talks about that. And it makes it hard for even the toughest person. I think I realised in my most recent trip home that I can't heal it all.
Wow.
When you are the first generation making change or trying to, if you are not well resourced or supported, the journey is going to be hard. You'll be challenged and questioned by the most unexpected people, family members, elders, locals. If you are a single parent, uneducated, unemployed, neurodivergent, struggling with your well-being, have addictions, disconnected from family, whāngai, adopted, white passing, melanated, short, tall, fat, skinny, differently abled, takatapui, don't have the reo, have the reo, aware of moko, or not a survivor of abuse, a big mouth, a slut, a hoe, doing it alone, doing it together, whenua planted or not, catching the inner city bus home or flying in, hiding in the wharenui or washing the dishes, goth baddie or princess. Your journey towards returning home will have many more layers and many more challenges than others.
Beautiful. Thank you, Hokianga Auntie.
Yeah,
Hokianga
follow them on
Auntie.
Instagram. There's more bars here, which I'll share during the course of this conversation.
beautiful.
But shout out, Leaf. Yeah.
Shout out.
What did you think?
I kind of got that was beautiful. I got the imagery of being on the waka and when you are approaching an island or going back home, and as opposed to kind of going to the island, the kind of sensation or what happens is that you feel like the island is actually being drawn to you. Like you feel like that you are pulling the island
There's a
nearer.
magnetism
There's a
there.
magnetism there. And so I kind of got that imagery of this magnetism, but also just us really being like, we need to be kind and gentle with ourselves. And that if we are on this kind of land back timeline, and we kind of were sharing about it before, if we are on the Indigenous timeline, that then therefore means we are between 9 to 20 days in the future. And so because of that, we have time. We have time
the
to
time
do
in
the
the
work.
world.
We have all the time in the world. We have 1,000,000 years always. And so,
Time, another false construct, but we'll get into that in episode 6.
yeah, another episode. But yeah, that's kind of the imagery that was popping up for me.
Yeah, the magnetism of you and whenua.
You and whenua.
So real, too. Everybody has that communion when they kind of have a big connection like that with where their bloodline was
Yeah, totally.
and is.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you?
I don't know. I just kept thinking about what it was like, or what it's like whenever I go home, like whenever I go back to Tonga. And for me, when I go back home, or at least when I first started going back home, I always thought that like my biggest hurdle would be like, conversations in and around my gender. But those are completely non-consequential things.
Right.
Oh, that.
There. And what it boils down to essentially is like whether you're willing to commit to the role that you see sitting there for you within context of the village, and whether you can achieve those goals or not that are assigned to that said role. And that's really confronting, because then you go there and then you realize you can't do a lot, and then you're like, oh shit, well, what now? And then on top of that, and I guess it's like kind of similar if you're like returning to the Hokianga, or if you're returning to like in the middle of the island here in Aotearoa, It's a completely different world. Tonga is a third world country, and so going back home, it's really trying to get used to the fact that the standard of living is that you are constantly under-resourced, is that if you're wanting to make the most of your situation on the land, you have to go and work the land. And we live in the West, and the West is predicated on convenience.
Yeah.
And so it's
kind of
it's
like
a shock.
It's a shock.
Get your notions in check.
That's
Your
it.
notion.
Yeah.
And one of the first times as an adult when I went back to the plantations, I had tried to pull up a manioke, and I had really deeply cut myself on wild long grass. Wow. And all my cousins looked at me and they're like, really? Really? All you had to do was pull up the fucking yam. And I was like, girl!
It's a yam.
It's a yam. I was like, the grass really fucking cut me, girl. Ow! Ow!
My whānau see the nails and just go, oh, God.
Oh, no, real B.
They also write, leaf is a kind of a part of this beautiful kōrero that they shared. As I reveal the layers of my own land back, my journey, of my whakapapa, man, I understand why we haven't healed the shit we needed to. It's ugly, it's hard, it makes you lose hope, it makes you ugly cry your kids to sleep when they ask where home is. It makes you settle, it makes you scream cry with your dad at night. Why wasn't he here? Why is it so hard? Why won't he just listen? I don't want to carry it anymore. It's finding out all the secrets that have been hidden, passed down, knowing that bravery is just as dangerous as hiding. But I also know that the whenua wants me home just as much as I want to be home. And if one day I can be in her embrace, covered in omoana on the waters that once held my ancestors, I know we will be all right. And if for some reason I don't get to be there, my tether will keep me connected. They will be my land back. So whānau, write your plans, have your cries, hug the whenua, dream the biggest dreams, hate that mean auntie, know that we are only human, be kind to yourself, milk the systems, fuck the system, save that 20 cents. You are your ancestors' wildest dream and the mokopuna that they could have never imagined.
That's it. You know
Hate that.
what that reminds me of? I was having a conversation with one of our whakatentis, Sione, and they were talking about their most recent visit back to Tonga and how none of the food they ate in the village made them sick ever. And then when they go into the city of Nuku'alofa and Tonga, and they'd eat the food in the restaurants, they'd always get upset tummies, and then they'd go back to their village and they'd eat. And I was thinking about last year I had gone back for a tangi, and when I had landed, they had just finished butchering up a cow, and they had cooked it up for all of the food, and they had chucked the back leg of a cow inside a cardboard box, and they had given it to us, all of the liangi, which in Tongan culture are the people who are on the ground who have to work during the process of the funeral, and that was our dinner. We just had a cooked leg inside a cardboard box with salt in the corner, and there were flies buzzing all around it. And girl, it was 3 o'clock in the morning. I was hungry as shit, so it was me and 12 of my cousins hunched over that box and girl, that was the best meal I had.
Best food you've had in your life.
And didn't get no shits, nothing. And I feel that when I listen to Hokianga Auntie's words, I'm like,
yes, just that kind of these little alignments and correcting feelings that we have. I follow on TikTok this little cute baby Vietnamese family, and they're on kind of an eczema journey with this little baby skin. And then as soon as they took them back to Vietnam, it was cleared up, and then the grandparents were like, they ain't going back. Got to keep them healthy for a bit longer. So it'll be like that.
My sinuses clear up when I'm back home. My skin is incredible when I'm back
glowing!
home. It's just...
You feel that connection.
I feel that connection. As you were just kind of sharing, I was thinking about Hawaii. And I was thinking about... I had shared this comment like on the walk, but it was like very much like ha ha hee hee. But I was like, wait, let me sit with that, and I was like, and Hawaii was within us this whole time.
Yes, girl.
It's the great within.
It's the great
It's the great
within.
beyond within all of us.
Period.
Wait, what's the song from Moana too? I go beyond. Yeah.
Shout out to my parents who are just casually in Sava'i and all of the Sava'i
Yeah.
Nui, Hawaii Nui, all of that kind
That's
of
it,
stuff.
girl.
We were talking about lambic in terms of a daily practice, the micro, macro, radical acts of us, which connects to you saying lambic is in the body.
Lambic is in the body. Lambic is in the body. It's in the mind.
Yeah.
It's in your daily ritual. It's in your practice. It's in what timeline you're in. It's in
It's
the
how you
conversation.
treat people.
How you treat people.
Oh, bitch, it's how you treat people.
I just want to say, like, there's a lot of romance and performative discourse around it. But if you ain't doing right by other people, what's it for?
What is it for?
And I think it's like the thing that I think a lot of people assume is conflict is like the aim of the game. Bitch, when you're in the context of the village, yeah, you are fighting every day. What do you think you're doing with your sister all the time? You're fucking flipping on and off like, fuck, I hate you, bitch, don't fucking at me. And then you're walking in there 20 minutes later like, sister, I'm going
So
to
do
the
you
roast
want to go
shop.
get
Do you
something
wanna
to eat?
Like,
Do you want to go to St. Luke's? Yeah.
I really need your tweezers. And it's just like it's not real to kind of move in that type of like vindictive, really like wicked way.
And it kind of goes back to our conversations about imagination and narrative, and how like with that lack of imagination or that narrative, we're unable to see. Well, people are unable to see others as having the range or having that sort of that compassion within them, or that humanity, which has become so skewed.
I remember our homie Latia was talking about the surveillance state and was saying that, first of all, you need to disestablish the surveillance state within and the way that you monitor and police other people's happiness and behavior.
That's
and
it.
let people bang. And I think like lambic is very much the same. It's kind of like you need to give people the right to their own sense of self, their own kind of like
sense of self.
Yeah.
That's it.
Is this?
Friedrich Nietzsche.
Oh,
Friedrich Nietzsche.
Go
There's
on.
a lot. Beyond good and evil, blah, 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 blah. Again, the reading notes. Anyways, one aspect of Friedrich Nietzsche's, by the way, Friedrich Nietzsche, German
nihilist.
philosopher, huge incel, totally a loser. But his works kind of frame a lot of the things that we're kind of experiencing as recipients of colonial hubris. Yes?
Yes.
Follow, totally.
And what I mean by that is like he kind of talks about the process of manifest destiny, the process of colonization, and how
This natural
impulse, but he says that it's a fallacy because the old civilizations, such as the Mesopotamians, the Romans, the Greeks, lived by a warrior's morality system or a god morality system. And with the advent of Christianity and the widespread of it, what was implemented and what had replaced that morality system was the slave morality system, that you are the wealthiest when you are the poorest, that you are this when you are that. Very much what is up is what is down. And I think
When I catch you, Ricky, when I catch you, Nietzsche.
yeah, shout out to you, Nietzsche. Also, it's still heavy. Fuck Rene Descartes. Fuck you, bitch.
Yeah.
And I think about that a lot in regards to land back in relation to our bodies and our minds. It's really reclaiming a morality that isn't rooted in our detriment.
Yes, and blame.
And blame and shame.
Shame.
Like, and all
Things
of
that are so
stuff.
inherent. Things that are so default setting and assumed.
That's it.
Yeah. Now I will go for this little outro reading. I hope you will all join us next week, 6 p.m. on Twitch. Thank you for being in the chat and rumbling. Let us know if you've any other thoughts. The chat will keep on going. Thank you to my beautiful co-host. Thank you, Remy, and all the Whike Fortress, Rev TV family. I will read this and then we will call it a night as it starts to rain. So, because the fear is so foundational to Western thought, Westerners often struggle to leave room for possibilities like the peaceful communal ownership of land. But the practice of communal landholding has precedent and supported stable civilizations for hundreds of generations before being dismantled by Europeans. Perhaps, says Lambeck, it could do so again. And to those who doubt that this could ever happen, well, it already is. In America, Samoa, where a hybrid legal system of traditional and Western law ensures that 96% of the land is held in common, Samoans have retained their sovereignty, ethnicity and cultural traditions remarkably well. The continental United States could look to America Samoa as a model, although that model is not without problems of its own. Hello, blood quantum requirements. In short, white people would not be deported after Lambeck because Indigenous people are not colonizers. Honestly, though, is Europe really that bad?
Right.
Right.
They have a little joke at the end being like, why don't you go to France?
And it's true.
Y'all
It's
love
just like,
France.
you guys save up all your lives to go and spend a summer there. Why not spend a lifetime?
spend a lifetime there.
Spend a lifetime, honey, girl.
I think there was one thing as well that they talked about dystopia and dystopian. And I think that's maybe one thing that genre has got right, is that it's always like that the kids are the future and that they can solve the problems. That's one thing that got right.
Power to the rangatahi.
Power to the rangatahi and
Always. All you young ones watching, to Wiki. Love you very much.
Love you all down.
Thank you for watching, everybody, and we will see you next week.
Fat.
Ka kite anō.
Ka kite anō. Mawa. Bye. Whaka rofa lahi.
Malawa Peter.
XO cover girl.
XO.
Yeah, love. Live Lambeck. Yes.
Orators Anonymous was made with Pūtau Tautoko from Creative New Zealand, New Zealand On Air, and the RNZ Arts and Culture Podcast Co-Fund. The creative director is Coco Solid, the producer is Esther Lelua, the assistant producer is Mary Adios-san, the producer/Twitch producer is Remy Shavinke, the hosts are Fuima Ono, Tuema Fuiva, Falese Taua Mush Lesefo, Manu Vaya, and Coco Solid. Sound design, composition and editing, Tokero Teokotai Brown. Ngā mihi to strategic advisors Rosabelle Tan and Yana Tenahu Owen, and the RNZ podcast teams Justin Gregory. Follow and listen to Orators Anonymous wherever you get your podcasts.